Alright, so in Blender, if we just drop in 360 footage here, it shows up looking like this.
I get everything everywhere.
Which is not exactly what we'd hope to see. And so we need some way to map this video into something that kind of would look more like what a camera would show. And on top of that, it'd be great if we had an ability to point the direction and keyframe the direction of that camera, which we actually can do. So I'm going to hit X here. I'm going to go into this rendering tab. And I'm just going to use this as like an extra workspace. So here with video editing, just going to make sure this scene here is pinned. And we're going to go over to this rendering tab. I'm going to go new scene. I can pin that in this tab. And then if we go back, it's our editing tab. And if I go to the new scene or the new tab rendering, that's our new scene. So let's just grab a 3D viewport. I'm going to drop in a UV sphere. And I'm going to right click and shade that smooth. Could scale it up or do whatever you want with that. There's nothing else in this scene, so I'm going to add in our camera. If we go into X-ray view, you can see there's our camera in here. Let's maybe reset this to kind of a nice angle here. Scale this up a little bit, and let's add a material to this. So I'm going to go new material. I'm going to use an emission material, and I'm going to click the little dot here on color, and I'm going to add an environment texture, which it turns out HDRIs are the same mapping type as this video from the 360 camera. So I'm going to open my same video here, and if we knew exactly how many frames long it was, we could set the frames. I'm just going to add a bunch of zeros to it, and then let's check auto refresh. And if we go into rendered view, we can see we have something kind of crazy here. If we look from camera view and we actually scrub through the timeline, we have something like our 360 video. And this will be kind of an exciting one to work with because it's a very shaky camera. We should probably make sure our color management is set to standard rather than AGX. Let's maybe just turn up the strength of the emission. Is that this? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so it's just bright enough. And also, if we want, we can grab the camera, and in the viewport display, we can turn down the passepartout, however you pronounce that French word. And here we go. Okay, so we can hit shift and tilde, whatever this is. And we have like a nice little first person rotation of the camera, and we can look around our 360 video. Our playback isn't completely real time, but we still get a pretty good idea of what's going on. If you want to be able to actually hear the video while you're seeing it in this kind of 360 editor format, we can split the timeline, go into the video sequencer, and we can actually go to frame 0 and drop in our movie clip that we had before. And I'm going to disconnect these strips. I'm just going to delete the actual footage part. And as long as they're both starting on frame 1, the footage should be synced with the audio. Yeah, sync to audio. So we can actually be able to hear what's in our footage at the same time as we're seeing what's in it, which is pretty nice for editing and pointing at people that are talking and whatnot. Maybe I should just break this down into a few frames, like up to frame 50, so I just get a tiny chunk of what we want. And we could just start pointing the camera in directions that we want and keyframing it. Or if we wanted, we could stabilize it so that then when we pointed the camera around, we wouldn't have to be adjusting for all of the camera shake. This was kind of early on. I realize if you just hold the 360 camera still, that makes it a lot easier on yourself. Let's add an empty where the camera is, and we could just add like a sphere empty. We could parent the camera to the sphere empty. We can apply the like stabilization changes to this spherical empty. And then if we want camera animation on top of that, we can do that as another layer for the camera. I'm just going to turn on automatic keyframes, hop into camera view, and let's just rotate this guy so that we have a basic kind of horizon lock deal going on. We could probably look at the woods for some kind of horizon. There we go. And then we can just scrub through. Obviously, we need to readjust. And if you pick like a point for like the crosshairs of the empty, like this tree here, that's a good way to be consistent. So at this point, it's like here, and then we just rotate it out, and then we just get like the broad strokes of this clip That's pretty decent. And then once we go through and get the broad strokes, we can do the in-between keyframes. It's a little bit of a process. There are fancy proprietary apps that you can get, which will automatically track and that sort of thing, which is nice, but they're also a little bit less flexible, and you need to go outside of Blender to be able to do that sort of thing. And I really enjoy just being able to do everything right inside Blender in the same file even, which is quite nice. Now, something you'll notice as I just go through this is that the quality is pretty low. And so to counteract that, I usually like having a little bit more of a wide angle view. So with my camera selected here, I'm going to go to my camera settings, set this back from 50 millimeters to something closer to 9 millimeters as a nicer field of view. It includes more resolution in there, so it looks a little bit sharper, which is nice. And now we have slightly decently stabilized footage here. Could use some updates, but now we also can reanimate our camera. If we want it to look at this guy, we can go at this point where it's looking at this guy, and at the start of the footage, if we want it to look at this guy, there he is. Can rotate it just to make sure it's working good. Yeah, nice. So we can do our camera animations on top of our stabilized animation, and things are pretty nice and smooth that way, relatively speaking. I was whipping the camera around and getting all sorts of insane motion blur. So I mentioned having a wide angle. If we just render this out, this is an Eevee. It'll take less than a second, which is really nice and fast, but I actually enjoy the field of view of some of the Cycles cameras a little bit more. So if we go into the render engine and switch that to Cycles, it actually does end up taking a little bit longer. So I'll just do my GPU, make sure we're not denoising things. And if we go down to light paths, we can drop a whole bunch of these way down. If we just go like this, I don't even know if we need any of these, but it does make it a lot faster when those are set to 1. Since it's just basically viewing an emission object, it doesn't really need to do any path tracing, except for when we change our camera to panoramic, we get this kind of fun spherical look, which we can take the lens maybe up so we get rid of the black fringing, and we can turn up the field of view actually. We can start to get something that a real lens in real life would not be able to capture, which is kind of fun. Then we can like spin it around. It really becomes pretty evident that it's inside of a sphere, but it's a fun field of view and a fun kind of way to mess around. Okay, to get it back into our timeline here, we need to bounce it out to either a video clip or EXRs. I like to do EXRs just because I know they're not losing any information of what little information is here. If we render it out to a movie clip, that could potentially lose a bit of quality. And so in the output settings, we can switch that to OpenEXR. We don't need full float. We don't need alpha. And we can compress this with DWAA, and that does a really good job. And now that's rendered out, we can go back to our video editing tab here, and I can import my EXR sequence. I can put that wherever I would like it in the timeline, and I'll just grab my movie as well. And remember, these both start at frame 1, so they're synchronized here at this point. If we disconnect the strips once more, this audio should line up with this video, although my 360 camera shoots in 29 frames per second, not 24, so we do have to be careful of what kind of timeline we're working on. But yeah, this should be synchronized here, and we have it edited to the point where we like the angles of everything going on. It's all inside the same Blender project, and we're not losing any information that we need. So this is a pretty nice little situation here.